Hi guys, and welcome back and Happy New Year to you all. So I've done a little bit of work on the Dragon 32 and the 6809 and the multiplex of the 7LS 783 I think it is, are getting very hot. So I'm picking one of those that's got an issue because the multiplexer deals with the RAM for the video as well as the machine. So I'm thinking that could be one getting garbage. I've ordered a set of those, so I'm going to have to wait for them to come in to change that 7LS. Anyway, what I've got is something different for you, and I think you'll like this. There's been quite a bit of... Yeah, that's the boss, she's just come in. There's been quite a bit of talk. There's been quite a bit of talk about it on the internet. About vintage machines and how you can back up the data off your hard drives. And I'm talking about the old drives. This is the MFM RLL type drives. And I bought a kit and some parts, and we're going to make one. So grab yourself a seat, a drink, and a few snacks. This may be more than one part. I can't guarantee it. And let's get on with it. So guys, here it is, all the bits, and it's quite an involved kit to build if you want to build one. The boards are not dear, and I got the boards through PCBWay or JLPCB. I'm not 100% sure now, but I got them through one. I think it was JLPCB because they were cheaper than PCBWay to make the boards. So I got the boards, and as you can see, this is one of them here, and a nice blue board, as you can see. And I've got a few extras here as well, so I am going to offer these up for sale, these extra boards. For the board, you need one of these, and let me get it the right way around so you can see it. You need one of these, and you either need the Beagle Bone Black or the Beagle Bone Green. One has Wi-Fi and one doesn't, so you don't need the Wi-Fi. So that's totally up to you which one you buy. I think the green is slightly cheaper than the black, not by a lot, but it is slightly cheaper. So have a look around and see what you can get. There are some deals floating around. Then on top of it, there is a whole myriad of parts. I made up some lists now. On the website, on the GitHub website for this, there is a list of every part, but it comes down to what DC to DC converter you're using and what supercaps you're using on these boards. So the ones I did up and I've done the parts list up for are for the types we're using. So if you decide to make one of these, yours might be slightly different, and the price could be slightly different depending on what you're going to use. Now the super caps on these boards, they are so that when you're copying off of an old hard drive onto USB or into the flash media or that, when you're backing it up, the hard drive doesn't switch off straight away. Your hard drive needs to, in these old drives, needs to go to the parking area and park the heads so that they don't float around the drive and damage the platters. So it needs to do that, and that's what these super caps are for. So they hold charge for a certain amount of time and allows the drive to go and park its heads before it stops. And they're not cheap to buy. They are reasonably priced. So depending on what size of those you get, depends on how long the drive has to shut down. You can go from what they call F3s, which is that's how much time it has, to F5 to F10 to F15s. The ones I did for this board, I went with the F10s because when I looked at the 3s and the 5s, the 10s are only a little bit dearer, and not by much. But the F10s and 15s are slightly bigger, and they don't sit upright on these boards. You actually have to put them underneath the board and lie them across, because otherwise they'll be too tall for the drive. And so I got those, so I think that, and it gives me longer for the drive to spin down, in case you've got a slow drive or a bit of a drive which is not very healthy. It gives you a little bit longer. That's what we've got. And there's my box of bits, and as I said, all the parts, most of these all came from DigiKey, or Mossa, sorry. Most of the stuff came from Mossa. There were 4 of us in this, so the prices did come down a bit, because we got 4 lots, which became cheaper, plus the freight became cheaper. I did have to get a couple other bits. One lot come from DigiKey, and some of the other bits come from somewhere else. I found them cheaper somewhere else, so that's where we got those from. Yeah, and then some of the other bits I had, like the header jumpers and things like that, which are all just standard pin headers. I've got a box full of those up the top, so I just use those, and jumpers and LEDs and stuff like that I have. Nice thing with these, if you're not used to surface mount, these boards are through hole. There is a new version that is smaller than these, as surface mount. So if you want to get something smaller, you can go that way. There is 2 surface mount chips on here, these 2 ICs. They're not hard to do. If you're worried about surface mounting, do those first and make sure that they're on there fine. Then once they're on, the rest of it is all through hole, so it should be fine to do. Alright guys, that's where we're up to. All me bits, me board. That needs to be programmed before it goes and gets plugged into here. So they come in the box with the cable and the information about programming. A lot of them you can use just with the Arduino IDE software for programming these through the USB. So that's got to be done. I will do that last. I'll do the board first. So as I say, this may become multi-parts depending on how much I can get done on this in one go. But as I was saying, I'm going to put these surface mounts on first. I want to get those out of the way. I'm a little bit better at surface mounting now than I was, but I'm still not 100% with it. So I think I will do those first. Alright, so I will then clean this lot off, get out the ICs to go on here, and then we'll start. So I'll be back short. Okay guys, so before we go any further with building the board, I'll just take you to the website and we'll go through the information that's on there, just so you've got it clear in your head what's going on and how we're going to do this. Okay, so I'll just switch you over now. Okay guys, so here we are, we're on the website, and you can see at the top here, I will put a link in the description below about these boards and the website to go to. So as you can see down here, this is his newest version. Now this is the revision D, which is all SMD, so it's a lot smaller. You can go this route if you want to. I just find I'm not good at doing a lot of SMD work. I can do a little bit, but after that it gets a bit beyond me. So I went with the revision C, which is through hole with just the 2 level shifters that are on the board, which are these 2 down here on our board that are surface mount. So you can go through, but this is like if you want to buy the whole version, this is it in Canadian dollars. Now we made them for a lot less than this, so it is up to you what you want to do. If you don't want to do all the mucking around, you can buy one built. You can buy the mounting kit for an extra $10 Canadian if you want. It is totally up to you. He has adapters for putting second drives in and things like that. A lot of that stuff you can make yourself, but you don't need to buy them if you don't want to. This is his website, so this is telling you everything about it. But what we will now do is we'll just jump over to the GitHub so that you can see the information that's there on the drives and how to build them and what you need. Okay guys, so we're on the pt-1 MFM website. This is the chappie's site who originally designed these and made this version. And as you can see it here, this is the version that we're going to be building, which is this one here, which is the revision C. And there are our 2 surface mounts that we need to put on first, which are here. Now he hasn't put some of these in, they're on the other side of the board for the beagle bone, etc. Up to you what you want to do, how you want to build it. You can put the beagle bone on here permanently if you want to. Sockets down here and plug it in through sockets. Totally up to you which way you want to do it. And as with us, he's put the super caps on this other side because he's put the bigger ones in as well. As you'll see on here also, some parts aren't installed. Now this is what I was saying, if you're building one with slightly different components, you don't need the whole lot. So you can come onto here, and this will take you through to all the information you need, assembling the boards, if you've got a built board or so forth. There's different links to different pages to do things. So this is where we come into here, and this is assembling notes. This is for putting it together. And as you can see here, these are the shorter caps that you can put in. These are the longer caps down here that I'm using. So they need to go under the board that way, and then these are the bigger ones again. Now the chap who got these ones, he 3D printed a holder that he glued onto the board to stop moving around, but you can, as he says, put hot glue between these to stop them moving around. A few more pictures of his board, and then it goes on about using the Beagle Bone Black, which is what BBB stands for, and there's also the Beagle Bone G, or green. So that goes through all those. This is telling you about different bits and how to change certain things for the boards depending on what you're going to use to run it. But go through here, guys, and have a look. There's lots and lots and lots of information in here. There is another part, I think it is in the BOM, so if we jump into here, and this is all the parts that you'll need if you're going to build the machine. He's put prices here, but be aware these are Canadian, alright? Don't think they are your currency. These are not. As the prices here, I mean, we were nowhere near this price when we built ours. I think ours came to about 180 New Zealand dollars for the boards and the parts, and the Beagle Bone, we got it on special. So that was around that. It was about 180, 190 odd dollars, including the Beagle Bone. It was about 90 odd dollars for the Beagle Bone. So just be aware they are a bit spendy if you want one. Now where I was saying that there's parts you may or may not need, that's where you need to read in here. This is about the super caps you're going to use and the DC to DC converter. And it'll tell you what parts you need to change and what parts you need to substitute or leave out. And some of them you leave them out because they are not used. Alright, so these are the main things, just the little catches you've got to be careful of and just be aware of. Alright guys, so you can go to there. I will put the links to both these sites in the description, and you can go and have a link whenever you're ready. Alright, so let's get back to doing what we were doing. Right, so we're back. So I've got my board. Now these are the chips, and I'll zoom you in a wee bit because they are not very big. These are the two chips. They are not very large. And I'm going to put those on here first. These are just the rest of the boards, and so the headers, I've put them to one side. I'm going to put these two on here first. They're not very big chips, I can tell you. But I will go ahead and put these on, and then we'll come back and carry on with the rest of the bits and decide which direction we're going after here. Alright? Hang around. Alright guys, now before I start, just a couple of little things. I got some of these off Temu, they were freebies, and they're little wee different shape and size stainless steel spatula type things. These type of things. Very, very thin, very, very soft, but they're for doing surface mount ICs and for moving them around and holding them while you solder them and that, so you don't have anything too heavy on it to suck the heat away. Now these are stainless steel. They come in a pack, and as I was saying, all different sizes and tips on them. Weird and wonderfuls, hooks and needle points and flat edges of different sizes. And these would be really, really good for holding down the chips. And I'm thinking it's probably going to be that one there. Is the one I'll use. They were freebie. Those sorts, they come in a pack like that, or if you get them, some of them don't come in a pack, some of them just come in a plastic bag, like the other ones did. But they're cheap. Now for this one, I am going to use my very, very fine 0.5 wire, because these are such a fine pin on the ICs, so I'm going to use the very fine wire for it, because I don't want too much solder causing bridges. Now I'm just going to put a stripe of flux down. The other thing is too, is if I muck this up too badly, I can always come in with some braid and the hot air and try and fix this up. And that's really, really good for when you're doing this. And that's what I say, a little bit of surface mount is okay. A pile of surface mount, and yeah, it gets a little bit much for me. But as time goes on, and if I do more and more surface mount, it'll be a lot better. I will take these chips out now. And as I said, they are 2 tiny little chips. And on these, they have the dot on one side. And the dot is on the board as well, so we know which way around we're going. Going that way. I'll drop that on there, and then what I want to do is I just want to line it up so it's relatively on the pads, because I only want to, what I'm going to do is just dot, attach, solder one corner on it, and then make sure it's about right, and then do the other corner. Then I can solder it in permanently. Because if not, you'll get them not square on the pads, and you could have problems with shorts and solder bridges and things like that. Get that one down. That one looks pretty good. And I'm just doing a little bit of gentle pressure on the top to make sure they're down and not sitting on the top of the flux. Sorry. Now I could use a finer tip, but I think the bigger tip will probably help us a lot more here. Just wetting down my pad so I can clean the tip from the last time. It's been sitting a little while, so I just need to clean the tip. That's better. And as I was saying, don't forget, you really do need to get a few different sizes of solder. Usually a 0.5 or a 0.6, and then get yourself a 1 or 1.2 for standard, and then get a heavier one, a 2 or a just over a 2 for real heavy stuff. So I'll just dab this on. Yep, that one's on there. That one looks good. I'll just do this back one now. And the thing is with the flux helps the solder wick into the legs, which is really, really good. And yeah, I'm happy where that one is. Both those dots are on the right sides. I'll just do the back legs on the opposite corners, and by doing them on the opposite corners you just stop the chip from moving. So one, go over the back here. That one, and now I've got those tagged on there. They're in about the right place. So I'll use this to press down on it, and I'll just heat these legs, and that's just going to make sure that that chip sits flat. Yep, that's fine. Right, so those are on there fine, so I can check those just to make sure. Now the other freebie I got over Christmas from Temu is one of these, and it is one that has the USB light in it, so I can turn the light on, and I can also change the brightness of the light too. I just get a little controller, and it has this little controller here, and so what I can do is I can turn it on, and then I can turn the brightness. I can change the colours, so what I can do is turn it on, and this is like a bit of a reddish coloured light, and then I can change, that's more of a yellow light, and I go, that is more of a blue light, and then go back to the standard colour. So it has the 3 different white colours, and then you can also dim it. You can dim it down, or you can brighten it up. As you can see, it goes down or up. You can brighten it up, and it's a 10 times magnifier as well, which is what I like. But this was free on Temu. It was one of my free gifts I got. So guys, there is some good stuff, and this is a clampable one that clamps onto the desk. and it swivels in the head, side to side, up and down. It's got the locks on it so you can loosen it and tighten it, and it's USB, so it runs off the PC or off a power pack. It's up to you. So I'm going to use this to check the board to see if those solders are good. Yep, those are fine, and they look really, really good too. Now, I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not. I'll bring this up to you. Whether you can see those or not, but they look pretty good to me. So what I will do now is, I don't need that to solder them up, but I just use that for checking that they are soldered fine. So now, what I can do is I can go along and finish soldering these on. Okay guys, so those are all done. So now I will turn the light back on. I'll just have a quick look to make sure they all look good. They all look pretty good to me. So I'll give those a bit of a clean up, and I'll sort out I think the next ones we're going to chuck on will be the resistors, because they're quite flat. Then probably the caps. And then the ICs and the transistors and so forth. Alright, so I will just pause you here and I'll just grab the bits that I need and we'll go from there. And I'll grab the sheet so we can mark off what we've done. Alright guys, so I've got most of the resistors here. There's also the resistor networks, the diodes and the caps that need to go on, the small caps that need to go on, surface mount ones, not surface, low profile ones to go on here. So these are the 1K, and I took these out of the packet for some reason. I usually write on them what they are, so, but these are all the 1K ones. So now these, and it does pay to actually, if you don't carry fine tolerance, which is around the 1%, a lot of these are all 1% resistors, so it pays to order them all in and get them and pay a little bit extra, then you definitely know you got them. So I'm starting off with these are the 1Ks, and we've got R3. So what we do is we just look on the board for the right one, pop it in. I'll put all these 1Ks in first, and then I'll solder those and I'll do all the others. So you don't need to listen to me prattle on, I'll do all this. Okay, so I've got all those. I didn't want you to sit there and see me poking resistors into the board, so they're all in there now. So I'm just going to attach them all that I've got through at the moment on here so they don't fall out. So just pinning one side as normal, and this is just so that I can check to make sure they're flush on the board. and if they're not flush, I can actually flush them up. So you can see there's a couple in there that sort of wobble around a little bit. Okay, so all those are done. So I'll snip all these off, and I'm short some resistors, and I'm not sure why. There looks like there's a packet missing somewhere. I'll have to have a look in the other box. But anyway, I will snip all these off and just retouch the ends, and then I'll put the next lot, which I think is the heavy resistor, the diodes, and the caps on. Okay, so I've done that. I've trimmed them all up and tinned all the ends on them and so forth, so we see me out a bit. So I've got all that bit done, and I will now adjust this a little bit so I got a bit higher. It's a bit better. So here and around here. Right, so I got all those done. Now I'll put some of these other bits. Those are caps. That's a fuse that can go in. Diodes, resistor network, capacitors. That's the big resistor. Okay, right. So the fuse I think we'll put in next. And this is one of the resettable fuses. It's not like a normal fuse that blows. These will reset themselves. And so that is F1. We'll have a look for F1 on here. F1 goes there. Okay, cool. One. I can get that from the other side now. And by marking these off, you generally know where you're up to. So if you're missing anything or not, you'll soon find out. And that's why I'm doing it this way, so I know if there's anything I'm missing or not. And that's why I'm marking them off as I go along the list. Now this is a list I made up for myself for the one I'm building. And this is D1 and 3. D1 is there, and where's D3 is there, okay. And the notice with these Schottky diodes is that the stripe on the diode is the stripe on the board, so just be wary of that. Now you can get, there is on Thingiverse a thing for bending up your legs the right sizes. Now I haven't got it here, but there is a file on one of my other videos I put links to Thingiverse for getting tools that you can print out on a 3D printer for bending your leg spacings for components and for straightening up ICs. And you can get, these are the IC ones, this is for the smaller ICs, so you can use this to put the IC in it, squeeze it together, and it actually straightens all the legs up to the right width. And there's a bigger one, and this is the one for doing the bigger ICs, for your 40 pins and your 30 odd pin ones. The little one, this one's for doing all your smaller ICs, your 18s and 14s and 6s, etc., that size. But I don't know where my one is for doing the components. I have got it around somewhere, it's just a matter of finding it. Now what we'll do is we'll go in here, get the right size. About there. Because these are a bit heavier, I'll just take it out of that because it just doesn't hold on to it very tight, so that's better. Clip in. This one. Down. Clip in. Cool. Right, I don't need that for now. Go away. And this one, these are a bit heavier, so I'll use my slightly thicker solder for this. The difference being is that you chew up more solder with the thin stuff on your heavier leads and heavier pads, and it just means you've got to go through more solder to solder the component in. Where did I see it? Oh, it's there. I saw one of the components wasn't sitting down properly, so the one that's a little bit hot, that'll be alright. It's not quite flush where I'd like it, but it's a little bit hot on my finger to do anything else with. Yep, they're all the right way round. Just touch the backs of those up. And as I say, I just like to touch them up after I've cut them so they're not sharp, and it makes it look a lot nicer if you do that. As I say, it just stops it like when you're touching the back of the board. They're not sharp shards that you're going to cut yourself on. Next ones were D4 and D5. That was 1 and 3. Did I mark those off? Probably not. Nope. D1 and D3. So I'll mark those off. So this one's 4 and 5. Now remember, depending on which one you're building, there will be parts you won't be putting on this, because the board is made for many different configurations, and depending on which configuration you're building will depend on which diodes and parts you put on it. And 4 and 5. Okay, so I've put a few more parts on. Now, these heavy resistors, this is a 3-watt one that's needed on here. They do throw a bit of heat out at times, so what I do is I generally try to lift them off the board so they're not sitting flush on your board. And if I tilt this one on its side, you can see down through there I've got a gap between it and the board, and that's just so the air can flow around it and it won't actually heat up and burn the board if anything should go wrong. So that's why I do that. So these are our resistor networks, and I'll put these on, and then I will have a look in that other box for the missing resistors that I haven't got to finish this off with. I've got some sort of a funny feeling that when I ordered these, they shorted me them because they didn't have the right amount of stock after I ordered it. So I've got a funny feeling that's what happened. So I will need to just have a look back over the order form and the notes. And these are the resistor networks. Now on your resistor networks, you will see, I'll just zoom in on this. On the resistor networks, there's a little dot on that other end that I'm not holding, which is this end here. There's a little dot on it. That designates pin 1. And on the boards they have a dot on one end, which designates pin 1 as well. So when these go in, you just put them in the right way around so that dot is at the right side to where it needs to be. And the resistor network 2, that one goes that way around on there. So they go that way. They go the way around where the dots are on the resistor networks and on the board. So just remember that when you put them in. Alright. Okay, so that's all in there and soldered, and they're done now. They're easy to do, just one after another. When you buy them, as I say, just double check what you're buying, because there is 2 types. There's a passive network and a non-passive network. Get the right ones for it. So those are all done. So now what I'm going to do is I will pop off and I think look for the other parts, the components, to see if they are short ordered or misplaced. So I will go and do that, and then I'll catch you back up when I find out what's going on. Alright, see you soon. Well guys, we're well on our way to building this machine. And yeah, I did have a look and I was shorted on some of those parts. They're not major parts, but I would like to put the like per like in there. So I've ordered them and they shouldn't be more than a week. So hopefully we'll have them back before part 2 comes out. So guys, if not, we'll carry on building the board, and just when those parts get here, a couple of different values of resistors and a few caps, we'll finish that part off. So hopefully you're enjoying this and it's a bit of interest to you. I think the interesting part's going to come when we start the programming side of things and setting up the BeagleBone Black for it, and hopefully everything goes well. I do have that drive out of that Bondwell. Now I want to archive that just in case I can't archive the floppy disks very well. I still haven't found my SCSI card, and I haven't found a board that's compatible with doing the hardware reads and writes, which is what I need. So we've still got that on the back burner as well, and the parts for the Dragon 32. Anyway guys, that's another one for now, and as I said, part 2 is coming. Get yourself ready for the next chapter. And as I always say guys, have a great day, have a great week, and I hope you had a really lovely Christmas and New Year. And until next time, ciao.